I am Claudia Morales with the Music Division of the Library of Congress. And today I am in conversation with Jean Baylor and Marcus Baylor, who together become the Baylor Project. They are here because they're performing tonight at the Coolidge Auditorium. Jean and Marcus, welcome to the library.
Thank you.
We are
Yes,
so
thank you so
excited to
much for
have you
having
here.
us.
It's
Yes,
great to have you
thank you.
here. So before we sat down, we had a chance to go through our special collection display for them. For the ones who don't know, the music division has over 25 million items in its collection. So yesterday we had a chance to go to the stacks and pull some special items for them. Jean, please tell us, what did you see and what was your impression?
Oh my gosh. We weren't really sure what to expect, and it was amazing because you don't really think about all of the documents, all of the nostalgic items that people have created over time that are kept here. And to be able to see just a small fraction of that is astounding. It's wildly inspirational. And for me, it kind of makes me think about what we're creating and how it's like a tangible representation of how what you create really does outlive you in the most beautiful way.
What about you, Marcus?
I mean, when I think about looking at the works of Max Roach, Charles Mingus, John Coltrane, it makes me think of legacy in terms of, us, they laid the foundation for us and we're standing on their shoulders. And so to look at the evolution of all this and us being a product of that, I mean, it's mind-blowing.
Well, I was going through the stack and thinking about you both and thinking about your music. You keep saying over and over that your music is not jazz, it's not R&B, it's not gospel, it's part of the Black experience, the
Yes.
Black culture. Can you speak to how what you saw? Because you saw Jesse Norman's papers, you saw Ella Fitzgerald, you saw the National Negro Opera Company, you saw Max Roach, Mingus. How that reflects what you do now? Because we saw a crossover, different
Yeah.
music styles. How that reflects your work?
Wow.
I would say, I don't know that we're necessarily doing anything completely new. I think it's just it's relative to our individual and collective experiences, and it's definitely tied to the lineage and legacy of what we saw here today. So I thought it was so interesting to see Jessie Norman and one of the programs for one of her performances. She was doing the Duke Ellington Suite, but clearly she was an opera singer. And then right after that, we were looking at Ella Fitzgerald that obviously sang a lot of Duke Ellington songs. So it's like, it's really that experience where it's so, one of the things about the Baylor Project that we will tell people is that it's all connected. It's, fundamentally we're jazz artists, we're jazz musicians and singers, but we're also, we grew up in church, so there's that gospel influence. We grew up in the 80s where you had this R&B and the emergence of hip hop. And so there's all these different genres and sounds that all come from a lived experience, and it's just all connected. It's rooted in the blues. So that's that line that really connects all of it, even if it kind of sounds a little different and manifests in different ways. So Jessie Norman's opera singer, but she's connected through that same lineage of the blues.
I mean, it felt for me, it's probably, this never happened before. It felt real personal to me in terms of, I didn't necessarily see pictures of them on stage, but I actually saw their works and I saw like just pictures of people taking portraits and hanging out. So it felt like I was at home looking at a photo album. And so it felt like, to me, this is a weird feeling, but it felt like, man, I'm looking at my aunts. I'm looking at my uncles. So with that, I can feel how they are connected to me. And so it made me feel in a way of like, wow, man, this feels like, family teaching me of what this music is about and where it comes from. And now you take the torch from here and build off that, but understanding this is the foundation. And so you are part of this legacy. And that's really what the Baylor Project is really about. Like we did a recording called Generations. And so this brings generations literally to life for me.
Wow. I have to stop for a moment and take a deep breath because it's so true. What you just said, this is what I love doing this because this comes to life when you see it
Yeah.
and when you experience it.
Yes.
And when you really, everything sinks in and all of a sudden it makes sense. It's connected. And what we're doing here, it just makes sense.
It does.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
It so makes sense, like, even with us being, you know, husband and wife and married, like, we joke around a lot, but I can see them telling me, you better go in there and fix your wife some food. Go get it. Like, that's how personal those pictures, like, I can see, I felt that kind of vibe in spirit.
The culture.
Yeah, you felt the culture of it all. You know, better yet, they may say, you need to go fix your husband some food.
No, I'm always
Get in there and
cooking.
cook him some.
I'm always cooking.
They be like, Gene, I can say, Gene, get on and cook your husband something to eat.
Oh, God.
Yes.
So you just mentioned that you both are children of priests. You both grew up. Did you mention that? Or maybe not. But I know,
children of pastors.
you are. You are.
Yeah.
I know you're children of pastors, and you both.
I like priests though. I feel like
Don't you start.
I feel like
This
the
is the
priest.
Library of Congress. We got to be dignified.
I'm just saying. I mean, you know, but I like the
Well,
priestly
priests slash pastors, pastors
Yes.
slash priests,
Yes.
right? And you both grew up in church,
Yeah.
and absorbing this because this is part of the culture. This
Yeah.
is your foundation, as you said. How that influenced your music now, and the musician that you are, your upbringing.
It's like our foundation really, because that's linked to like our earliest experiences. Like, my mom played the piano, and she was a singer, and my dad sang, and my earliest memories of music were me singing in church in the little kids choir, the angel choir, and that's my first experience of singing a solo and really discovering the talent, the gift. Same thing for Marcus. Like it was in church.
I mean, like Jean grew up, her dad was a Baptist pastor, which they got out of church in maybe like an hour and a half,
1
2
o'clock
hours.
every Sunday. Yeah,
I grew up in what you
11
call
to
a
1.
Pentecostal apostolic church, so
He still ain't got out of
church on Sunday, we still in church right now. Church on Sunday was all day. So, I mean, when you think about that being a major part of our music, it was all born in the, you know, the African-American community. So when you really trace those roots back, whether it's jazz, blues, gospel, R&B, even now hip hop, soul music, all of it is just connected. And that's really like, you know, that's the root. And so that's what I feel, you know, just even, you know, as we talk about our upbringing and just all the music that we listen to, I grew up with what you call a storefront church. And that's where, you know, you hear the organ rocking, the choir singing. My brother played the organ, my brothers and sisters sang. And so my dad, you know, now my brothers, I'm not a minister, but the rest of a lot of my other brothers and sisters are pastors, and you know, and all
But
this stuff.
he started playing on his mom's pots and pans in the kitchen. He was about 2 years old. He would pull them out, and then what were you even playing? You didn't have drumsticks, your forks and knives.
Oh man, you know, I mean, I'll tell you this. You know what's amazing about when you tell that story? That's literally generations. If you see a 2-year-old kid that grew up playing in church, you see that same 1-year-old or 2-year-old sitting next to the drums, and he's watching everything the drummer's doing. And then when he goes home, everything becomes a drum set. Pots, pans.
That's true.
I started
daddy's
turning
head.
up my dad's head. I started turning up furniture, sticks, pencils, all of it. Spoons, cooking utensils, anything that has a shape that's like a stick. It's yeah.
And before you formed the Baylor Project, I mean, you were not new to the industry. You both had your own careers individually. Can you share that with us?
Yeah. Well, I was in an R&B duo named Jeanne back in 1993. Our first single premiered in the summer of '93. That was the same year that we finished College at Temple University. And that was our entrance into the music industry as we know it. And, you know, we were in college, like singing in talent shows and all kinds of stuff, just, you know, having fun with the music. But it's nothing quite like that first time you hear your song on the radio. You're like, oh my God, on the radio, ah, you know. And Marcus, what was your first?
My first major touring gig was with Cassandra Wilson, which was a record called Traveling Miles, and around that time. And then later on, I started playing with Kenny Garrett, and then after that, I joined the Yellow Jackets from 2000 to 2010. But just, you know, one thing I would tell people that both of our careers have been a journey. Gene went to Temple University, I went to the New School in New York City. Both of us, you know, our trajectories, I think you was a jazz major in college and you was doing gigs in Philly during that time of thinking about being a jazz singer. And, you know, I was in New York playing a lot of local gigs at the same time. So I like to talk about that first because it's like there's a journey before all these things happen. And it's all connected to your name and your reputation and how your name starts spreading. And as you talk about these, you know, this amazing archival, you know, music and artists and everything that you're showing us is that how it's all connected. Because at some point, somebody recommended them. Some elder said, come over here, come check this music out. I mean, and so when I think about, you know, a lot of Max Roach, it made me think about, I had Cecil Bridgewater, who played in Max's band as a teacher in college. I mean, Buster Williams, the list goes on. And Gene has did gigs with, well, no, you sat in with Hal Mayburn. No, you did a gig with Hal Mayburn too.
I did a gig with Hal Mayburn, Howard Mayburn.
Yes. Hal Mayburn, Buster Williams albums. And so I just,
recorded in Kenny Garrett.
Kenny Garrett.
Jackets, So it's like all this, it's this tapestry of lineage, legacy, connections, validation from the people who have come before you is so important. Sometimes, you know, people try to kind of supersede that and go around that, but there's something there. When a Buster Williams says, hey, can you do this gig? You're like, oh, yeah, sure, I'm going to try.
Yes.
We'll see. But he's saying, like, because I asked Marcus, I wonder how did he know that I could do that gig when what he heard was not really that? But that's the thing of an elder. They've been here before. They've been where you are many times. So they can see beyond what you may be able to see at a particular part in your development. So.
And I'm sure that you got the blessing from Diane Reeves too.
Yeah.
When she said yes.
Oh my God.
How was that? Please.
I was so nervous. I was so nervous. I was like, do you think it's okay if we call her? And like at that point, when we did Generations, we had not been nominated for 2 Grammys, or maybe, no, 2. And we're coming up on the 3rd. At that point though, that doesn't mean anything when I'm calling Diane Reeves.
Right.
That was what?
Right.
That don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
And so I remember listening to her records coming. I remember first time I got to meet her, like probably 25, 30 years ago, and just randomly saw her in New York. And we're like, oh my gosh. So when we called her, oh gosh, you know, we had come correct, because that's Diane Reeves.
And you sang it over did you sing it over the phone?
We explained the concept of the album. We went through, this is what we're trying to do, the concept of the song and how it related to the overall concept of the Generations album, the song We Swing. We wanted to represent several different generations for the singers. So I'm in the middle, Jasmia is on the younger side, Diane is our elder. So just tying, because again, it's about lineage, it's about legacy, it's about those connections. And so we're FaceTiming and we're like, and this is how the song goes. 1, 2, 1, you know, and I'm singing it and I'm like so nervous. And she's like, yeah, we're like,
Yes.
Because it's like when you have a concept of something,
Yeah.
how many times does that concept actually
And you
come to
specifically had a
fruition?
verse for her.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she dialed in. She said, I love this lyric right here.
Yeah, and I was like, if you don't want to say that, she's like, no, I want to say that. I'm like, okay, I don't know if it's grammatically correct, but because it was like even the connection between like Straight Ahead and there was an influence of hip hop in the delivery of the vocals and stuff. So it was just one of those amazing moments where you have a concept. And it's like, hey, I said, what do you think about this? She was like, let's go for it. And then it actually comes to fruition where you get to where it become, manifested, and we did a video, and it was just a wonderful.
The video is
wonderful
beautiful.
experience.
It's
She
a beautiful-
literally, she flew in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Miss Reeves, she flew in literally probably on a red-eye flight back to the East Coast.
For maybe, 8 hours total?
8 hours to shoot the video.
Got there early that morning and was out the door by like 4 o'clock to catch a flight. Like, for someone of her stature who doesn't really have to leave her house unless she wants to.
Right.
To leave her house to get on a plane to fly over to the East Coast to make the video for, like, those things you don't take for granted.
Right.
You're like, so, okay, this stuff has to be right. What do you need? Make sure we got the car served. Make sure we got this. Like the planning that went into that, because we had a very tight timeline. That was the only day, it was September 8th, that both Diane Reeves and Jasmia could make it. And we had a 4-hour window. So we're like, all right, let's get it done.
Yep.
And even that goes back to this, to community, to the culture, to standing on somebody's shoulders, and to help, to be part of it, to make what is needed to make it happen. Otherwise, this wouldn't exist.
It wouldn't exist.
It wouldn't exist.
It wouldn't exist.
Right?
Wouldn't exist.
Yeah. It's been very empowering
Yeah.
from a purpose-driven
Yep.
perspective.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And, yeah. So.
And going back to what we just saw, we just read a letter from the National Negro Opera Company that talks about the money side of it, right? The word gratis
Yes.
has nothing to do with our business.
Yeah.
And you have your own record label,
Wow.
right?
Yes. Woo, boy,
preaching.
Look here. You can do this library account during the day, but we can have you come do some stuff with us because you understand some things that a lot of people don't understand. But,
So you're taking care of business. She was taking care of business. She understood the other side of it, and you also understand that.
Yes.
Can you speak to that point?
wow. I mean, first of all, we talk about this all the time. I mean, having the passion, and I'll say this, we never wanted to have, we never necessarily thought about starting our own label or putting out our music, but it just happened that way. That was the only outlet we had. At the time, labels wasn't necessarily saying that they liked the Bella Project. And so Gene said one day, it's about the people and the music. If you can get the music to the people, that's what this is about. And we've been blessed to as we sit here today with 7 Grammy nominations. And to be able to do 6 of those nominations on our own label, I mean, it's really a blessing. It's been a labor of love. You're forever evolving. And also you're doing it with your best friend, but also your wife. So that's a whole nother, that's a whole nother
Gotta come
dynamic.
back for that one.
That's
That's a reality show.
because it doesn't mean that we agree upon everything,
Of course.
but just understanding, both us being leaders and understanding how to come together for the common goal. And I think that's a major part of leadership and ownership as well. Ownership is just not about, hey, I make a lot of money, it's mine. Like I heard a quote today that touched me. It said, I definitely believe credit is important, but in terms of when you're working on a team, he said, credit doesn't even matter. Go get the deal done. Did the deal get done? Because a lot of times it's that when egos come into it, next thing you know, the deal never gets done. People go their separate ways, and the common goal wasn't met. So that's really important. And even that's what we even take on the bandstand. It's not necessarily like, okay, Gene, I got a solo now. Okay, let me get my shine. No, we are a band, we are a group. Hey, when you win, I win. So it's us being together in this. So I know I went off on a tangent, but I went left, right, but yeah.
No, but all those perspectives are very valid, and the space of business, because as creatives, we're not necessarily naturally wired for business. We're wired to create art. But art meets commerce, and now you have a little cognitive dissonance because you're like, I'm trying to create out of the well of my being. And it's like, yeah, but how do you package that, market it, and sell it? So we were kind of forced into that, but I'm glad we were, though, because it forces us to think about all of these things inside of what we're doing to try and get to whatever desired outcome we're looking to achieve. I will say that whether it's business, finances, life, it's all interrelated and very closely connected. It doesn't seem like it is because you're like, oh, I'm a creative and I create art, and then business people over there, those suits. It's all intertwined, very tightly connected, because it's like you start to approach it from a holistic perspective, because each level, wherever you are, and then you're trying to grow to that next level. That growth is determined by your personal growth as a person in terms of how you think, how you see the world, how you see yourself, how you approach that. It's like that's that filter of that determines everything that you do. How you respond to things, how you respond to change, how you respond to challenges, how you respond to success. It's all interrelated into your ability to grow in business and in finance and in art and all that stuff. So I find it challenging, but a good challenge to say, all right, we're entering a next threshold of this. So what do I need to know? How do we need to be? How do we need to what does it need to look like on a daily basis to get to where we're trying to go? Because you have to see, before you get there, you kind of got to see
You need to
it.
see it here.
You got to see
You need to
it.
see it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's hard to get there.
I mean, I'll tell you something this was a business decision we had to make early on. So when we created our first, our first 2 records, at the time, everybody said, you got to stream. But a business decision is, of course, as music artists, it's important, of course it's important for your music to get out there, but we have to make a business decision. And when you have a product or whatever the brand is, you have to create the value for that. And I think that's one thing that artists sometimes get mixed up, because what they have to know is that when it comes to, the talent is one thing. So to tell you the story, so we decided the first 2 records, people said, you're not streaming your records, streaming your music. Well, I said, Gene and I, we made a conscious decision to build the value up and wait till the right situation comes to start streaming. It took us after our 2 records were released, it took us at least about 7, 8, maybe about 4 or 5 years before we ever streamed. Well, it made sense because we did a partnership deal with Universal Music, Motown Gospel. So they were the company to break us into this whole ecosystem of streaming. Instead of us just putting our music up there and hoping that somebody may listen to it, and so we wanted to create the value for that. And so that's just one of the nuggets of knowing how the difference between being a business owner, making those kind of decisions that could be challenging.
So that's why I want all of you, my young musicians, to take a business course, right? Because business is part of the art.
Yes.
Don't forget that. And back to this.
Yes.
So what are we expecting tonight? What are we going to be hearing tonight?
Oh, we're expecting to have a good time.
Oh,
We are
wonderful.
going to come guns blazing, so to speak. We're just going to look to bring the fullness of what the Bella Project represents. You can speak more too.
The audience is just as important as what we do on stage, because it feels like you think about the African American culture, call and response, church, soul concerts. So that's really, it's about the spirit, and that's what we're looking to experience tonight. And you know, we're excited about our band coming in, and it's just going to be just a good time. And then what happens is too is that a lot of the tone is set by the atmosphere. The atmosphere of this space and this room is so warm that it makes playing music easy. You know, you can automatically just feel the acoustics, the dynamics, and just being able to chat with you all. And so we're so excited. We've been looking forward to this for a while.
We are so excited. Thank you so much for being here with me. And for you watching at home, come to the library. Check us online. Check them out online. See you the next one.